By 1970, Ray Davies had enough of the music industry. In the final Kinks album for Pye Records, Lola vs. Power Man and the Money Go Round, he wrote lyrics directly attacking the band's management and completed his career suicide by releasing a single from the album which would be banned from airplay. Instead of the whole band, as shown on the artwork of previous releases, this album cover depicts Davies' head alone, one side of his face bearded and half without, showing us that this album is his personal statement. Lola tells the story of a naive young man who has just arrived in London's Soho district, which in those days was a byword for the city's sex trade. Let's just say it was an entirely different kind of gender reveal party. Despite, or perhaps because of, the taboo subject of the record, music fans loved it. Lola was a top 10 hit single all over the Western world, reaching the #1 spot in multiple countries. As if to counter this unwanted commercial success, Davies and the Kinks went on to contribute the soundtrack to Percy, a movie about a man who has a penis transplant. The Kinks were part of London's mod scene, reacting against the hyper-masculine, motorcycle-riding subculture inspired by American 1950s movies like The Wild One, featuring Marlon Brando. While their guitar riffs were copied directly from US garage bands like the Kingsmen, mods took their visual inspiration from Italian fashion, shopping in Carnaby Street for frilly shirts and growing their hair. Rockers thought mods were sexual deviants, and when you name your band The Kinks, you don't do anything to dispel that rumour. The transatlantic cultural circle was completed when The Doors blatantly copied the Kinks' All Day and All of the Night and renamed it Hello, I Love You. A young Londoner, later known as David Bowie, would appear on British TV with his mod friends to announce the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Long-Haired Men. Bowie later appeared as a mime artist supporting Tyrannosaurus Rex in concert. This band was fronted by his friend Mark Bolan, another London mod who had grown his hair. Bowie's androgynous persona of the early 1970s is well known, and of course he was also the producer of Lou Reed's Transformer, another concept album explicitly based on personal stories about transgender people. This was not fringe culture. Glitter-painted Bowie and Bolan became the biggest stars of the era, with heavy-riffing T-Rex, the fastest-selling band since the Beatles. Millions of young girls and boys had glam rock posters on their walls. Mod and glam would go on to inspire the next generation of musicians, including the New Romantics and artists such as Boy George and Pete Burns. So when people started talking on the internet about gender performativity, as if it was something new, fans of 70s and 80s music could be forgiven for being a little bit confused. Academics such as Judith Butler, born 1956, and the majority of university administrators today were teenagers in the glam rock or new romantic eras. Postmodernism teaches that not only is pop music worthy of study, is it at least as important as, say, science or mathematics. Perhaps we shouldn't be surprised that a specific moment in white boomer culture, which took place in London 50 years ago, is now elevated to prominence in the academy. Perhaps recycling old ideas about the fluidity of gender is a lot easier than figuring out quadratic equations. An ever-growing student body with a wide choice of courses available can only benefit from the option of studies which have no wrong answers. It might be that the origin of today's academic fashions is not some dusty parchment scratched upon by Plato in his cave, but a review of Ziggy Stardust printed in the New Musical Express.